The alien princess locked the door and said, "You will stay here tonight, human." The shuttle moved slowly through the wide halls of the alien capital station. Its metal body reflected strange lights of blue and silver that floated like calm stars inside the station walls.
It's okay.
Elias Ward sat quietly in his seat, hands resting on his knees, eyes watching everything with careful interest. He was human, and he knew that alone made him different here. This station belonged to the Velari Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful civilizations in known space. Their cities were not loud or crowded. Everything felt controlled, measured, and planned long before it happened. Elias had read many reports about them, but standing here was different. Reports could not explain the feeling of being watched without seeing eyes. The shuttle stopped without a sound. The door opened, and the air outside felt cooler. A group of Velari guards stood waiting. They were tall, with smooth armor that looked grown instead of built. Their faces were calm, almost unreadable. No weapons were raised, but Elias knew they did not need to show force. Their power was already clear. He stood and stepped out. Waiting ahead was Princess Celira. She was not what Elias had expected. He thought royalty would wear bright symbols or heavy decorations. Instead, her clothing was simple, flowing like water, colored deep violet with faint lines of light moving across it. Her eyes were large, dark, and sharp, missing nothing. She looked young by Velari standards, but her posture carried quiet authority. "You are Elias Ward of Earth," she said, her voice calm and clear. "Yes," Elias replied, "diplomatic envoy of the United Human Coalition." She studied him for a moment longer than necessary. Not with anger or kindness, but with interest, like a scientist observing something rare. "You will follow me," she said. Elias nodded and walked beside her. The guards stayed back, letting the two move alone through long corridors. The walls shifted slowly, changing shape and color as they passed. Elias noticed how the station reacted to movement as if it was alive. "You are not afraid," Celira said suddenly. Elias thought before answering. "I am careful," he said. "Fear does not help me think." That earned a slight pause in her steps, just for a moment. They arrived at a large door that opened without a sound. Inside was a chamber unlike any Elias had seen before. The room was wide and circular. The floor was smooth and dark, reflecting light from above. The walls were tall, curved, and covered with faint symbols that moved slowly, like they were breathing. There was no furniture except a single flat platform in the center. "This is a secure observation chamber," Celira said. Elias stepped inside, scanning the room with trained eyes. No windows, no clear exits except the door behind him. Princess Celira followed him in. Then the door closed. A soft sound echoed through the chamber. A lock activated. Elias turned slowly. Princess Celira faced him, her hands calm at her sides. "You will stay here tonight, human," she said. The words were simple, but their meaning was heavy. Elias did not move. He did not shout. He did not rush to the door. Instead, he took a slow breath. "Is this an order," he asked, "or a request?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. "An evaluation." Elias nodded once. "Then I will cooperate." That answer surprised her. He could see it even if she tried to hide it. She turned and walked to the door. Before leaving, she looked back at him. "Your species has grown too fast," she said. "The galaxy does not yet understand what humans are." The door opened briefly. Then it closed again. Elias was alone. Silence filled the chamber. Not empty silence, but controlled silence, like the quiet before a test began. Elias slowly walked in a circle, counting his steps, watching how the room responded. The symbols on the walls shifted slightly as he moved, reacting to his presence. He suspected sensors everywhere, watching every breath, every small movement. He spoke aloud, knowing he was being heard. "If this is a test," he said calmly, "then hiding information would be pointless." No response came. He sat down on the platform in the center of the room. The surface adjusted instantly, forming to his shape. comfortable but not soft, designed to keep someone awake and aware. Elias smiled faintly. "Clever," he muttered. Hours passed slowly. The lighting changed in small cycles, imitating time but not revealing how much had passed. Elias stayed alert. He focused on his breathing, on the patterns of the lights, on the small changes in gravity that came and went without warning. At one point, the floor tilted slightly. Elias shifted his weight without panic. At another moment, a low sound filled the chamber, deep and distant. Elias closed his eyes and listened carefully. He did not react emotionally. He analyzed. They are measuring stress response, he realized. The Velari believed fear showed truth. That pressure revealed intent. They did not understand humans. Elias remembered training on Earth, long nights in sealed rooms, simulated isolation, psychological endurance tests designed not to break the mind but to strengthen it. Humans had lived on a dangerous world. Storms, darkness, uncertainty, and silence were familiar companions. The chamber grew colder. Elias stood and stretched slowly. "You know," he said, speaking to unseen observers, "humans learned something important very early." Still no response. "We learned that control is not always strength. Sometimes strength is staying calm when control is taken away." Somewhere beyond the walls, Princess Celira watched. She stood in a hidden observation room with scientists and advisors. Screens showed Elias from every angle. His heart rate was steady, his breathing slow, his expressions thoughtful, not fearful. "This is not expected," one advisor said. "He should be showing stress markers." "He is," another replied, "but not the ones we recognize." Celira said nothing. Her eyes stayed fixed on the human. Back inside the chamber, Elias returned to the platform and sat again. He rested his hands on his knees and waited. He did not know how long the night would be, but he knew one thing clearly. The locked door was not a threat. It was an invitation to show what humans truly were, and Elias' ward was ready. A soft vibration moved through the floor, gentle at first, like a distant engine waking up. Elias Ward felt it through his boots and adjusted his stance. He did not rush. He watched. The lights above dimmed slowly, changing from white to a deep blue that made the walls look endless. The air pressure shifted. Elias took a slow breath and let it out calmly. "So," he said quietly, "this is the next step." The temperature dropped again, not enough to hurt, but enough to be uncomfortable. Elias rubbed his hands together once, then stopped. He knew every movement was being measured. Panic would give them what they wanted. Calm would give him control. The symbols on the walls began to move faster. They formed shapes that looked almost familiar, but not quite. Elias recognized the pattern. The Velari were trying to confuse the mind, make it search for meaning where there was none. Humans had a long history with confusion. Elias walked toward the wall and placed his hand near it without touching. The surface reacted instantly, glowing brighter. "Sensitive system," he said, "very advanced." The gravity shifted again, this time stronger. Elias staggered one step, then adjusted his posture. He widened his stance and bent his knees slightly, the same way he had learned during zero-gravity training. His heart beat faster, but his mind stayed steady. Somewhere beyond the chamber, Princess Celira leaned closer to the observation display. "He adapts too quickly," one scientist said. "Most species resist, he studies." "That may be their advantage," Celira replied. Inside the chamber, the floor changed texture. Smooth became rough. Elias felt it through his boots. "A challenge to balance," he said calmly. "You're stacking variables." The lights flickered, then something new happened. A sound filled the room, not loud but deep and emotional. It carried a tone that made the chest feel heavy. It was designed to trigger memory, loss, loneliness. Elias closed his eyes. For a moment, images came to his mind. Earth, blue oceans, a small apartment window, voices from his past. His breathing slowed. He did not push the memories away. He acknowledged them, then let them pass. "Humans don't run from feelings," he said quietly. "We learn from them." The sound faded. The chamber warmed slightly, then cooled again, testing reaction speed. Elias remained standing now, feet planted, body relaxed. Time passed without clear meaning. Minutes or hours, Elias could not tell. The Velari preferred disorientation. Humans preferred patterns. Elias began to count his breaths. 1, 2, 3. The chamber responded again. This time the walls projected shapes into the air. Tall shadows moved slowly, not threatening but unfamiliar. Unknown forms, unknown movement, fear of the unknown. Elias opened his eyes and studied them. "They're not real," he said. "Light projection only." One of the shadows moved closer. It stopped an arm's length away. Elias did not step back. "If this is meant to scare me," he said, "you should know something." The shadow flickered. "Humans are curious before we are afraid." The projection vanished. In the observation room, silence followed. "That was a fear construct," an advisor said. "It works on most species." Celira folded her hands slowly. "Humans are not most species." Back inside, the chamber finally stopped changing. The lights stabilized. The temperature evened out. The floor became smooth again. Elias felt the test pause. He sat down on the central platform, resting his arms loosely on his legs. His body was tired, but his mind remained alert. He looked up, knowing he was being watched. "You're trying to decide what we are," he said. No response. "So let me help." He stood again. "Humans did not leave their world because it was easy," Elias continued. "We left because staying still was more dangerous. We learned early that survival is not about strength alone. It's about learning faster than the danger." The lights dimmed slightly, like the chamber was listening. "We fight when we must," Elias said, "but we think first. We cooperate, we adapt, and when you lock us in a room, we don't see a cage." He placed his hand on the platform. "We see time." In the observation room, Celira's eyes did not leave the screen. "He speaks as if he knows us," a scientist whispered. "He knows himself," Celira replied. "That may be more dangerous." The chamber shifted again, but this time gently. The lighting softened. The system was no longer testing fear. It was testing honesty. A soft tone echoed. A question formed in simple symbols across the wall, translated instantly into human language. "Why should the Empire trust humans?" Elias read the words carefully. He did not answer right away. Trust was not built with quick words. Finally, he spoke. "You shouldn't trust us because we are perfect," he said. "You should trust us because we are not." The symbols shifted. "We make mistakes," Elias continued, "but we learn from them. We fail, but we adjust. And when we promise something, we understand the cost of breaking that promise." He took a breath. "We know what it means to be afraid of the future." The question faded. The chamber grew quiet again. Elias returned to the platform and sat, this time allowing his eyes to close for a few seconds. He rested but did not sleep. He knew the night was not over. Princess Celira finally turned away from the screen. "Prepare the final phase," she said. The advisors hesitated. "The human has not broken," one said. "Pushing further may reveal more." "Or it may reveal nothing new," Celira replied. "The final phase is not pressure." She looked back at the display. "It is truth." Inside the chamber, Elias felt the air change once more. The door did not open, but something shifted inside the room itself. A presence, not physical, not threatening, watching more closely now. Elias opened his eyes. He smiled slightly. "Good," he said softly. "Now we're talking." The locked door remained closed. But the distance between human and alien had grown smaller, and the real test had just begun. The chamber lights slowly changed, not to test, but to welcome. The deep blue glow softened into a calm white. The air felt warmer, easier to breathe. Elias Ward noticed the difference at once. This was no longer a machine running a program. Someone had taken control. A quiet sound echoed through the room, and the symbols on the wall faded away. Then the door opened. Princess Celira stepped inside alone. She moved with calm purpose, her long steps smooth and silent. The door closed behind her, but this time the sound of the lock was absent. Elias noticed that too. "You have passed the endurance phase," she said. Elias stood slowly and faced her. "I assumed there was more." "There is," Celira replied, "but it no longer belongs to machines." She studied him carefully. Up close, Elias could see faint lines of light moving beneath her skin, reacting to her emotions. The Velari tried to hide their feelings, but their bodies spoke quietly. "You could have ended this sooner," Elias said. "I know you were watching." "Yes," she said, "and you could have acted afraid or angry or demanded release." "But that would have told you nothing useful," Elias replied. Celira paused. "That answer," she said, "is why you are still here." She walked slowly around the chamber, her eyes scanning the walls. "Our empire has lasted for thousands of cycles," she said. "We achieved stability by control. Every species we encountered was measured, limited, and placed where it could cause no harm." Elias listened carefully. "Humans do not fit," Celira continued. "You expand without permission, you adapt without guidance, and you question systems that others accept." Elias nodded. "That's fair," her eyes narrowed slightly. "You are not offended." "No," Elias said. "You're describing us accurately." That surprised her. "You see," Elias added, "humans don't fear being misunderstood, we fear being ignored." Celira stopped walking and faced him directly. "This chamber was designed to reveal weakness," she said. "It failed." Elias smiled faintly. "It revealed something." She tilted her head. "What?" "That you're afraid," Elias said calmly. The room felt still. Celira did not deny it. "Our empire has watched many civilizations rise," she said. "Most burn bright and fall fast. Humans are different. You rise through hardship." Elias stepped closer but kept a respectful distance. "Earth was not kind to us," he said. "We learned to solve problems because we had no choice. And now you bring those skills to the stars," Celira said. "Yes," Elias replied. "Not to rule, to survive." Silence followed. Celira raised her hand and a small field of light formed between them. Images appeared inside it. Human cities, ships traveling through deep space, colonies on harsh worlds. "You build where others would not," she said. "You stay where others leave." Elias watched the images with quiet pride. "We don't give up easily," he said. The images shifted. Now they showed Velari worlds, perfect balance, controlled skies, silent cities. "Our people fear change," Celira admitted, "because change once destroyed us." Elias looked at her with understanding. "Then you understand us more than you think," he said. "Because we were destroyed many times and we kept going." She lowered her hand. The images vanished. "This final phase," Celira said, "is not about fear, it is about truth." She looked directly into his eyes. "If the Empire allows humans to grow unchecked," she said, "will you threaten our stability?" Elias did not answer quickly. He considered the question carefully. "We will challenge it," he said honestly, "but not with weapons." Celira waited. "We challenge systems by improving them," Elias continued, "by asking why things are done a certain way, by showing alternatives." "That is still dangerous," she said. "Yes," Elias agreed. "Progress always is." Celira looked away for a moment. When she looked back, her expression was thoughtful, not cold. "You speak as if conflict is unavoidable," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I speak as if growth is." The chamber lights brightened slightly. "The Empire fears chaos," Celira said. "Humans fear stagnation," Elias replied. Another pause. Celira walked toward the door, then stopped. "There is one more question," she said, "and your answer will decide how history remembers this night." Elias straightened. "If humans are given power," she asked, "what will you do with it?" Elias thought of Earth, of crowded cities and quiet forests, of people arguing, dreaming, building. "We will share it," he said, "because power kept alone always turns inward." Celira studied his face. She searched for deception. She found none. "You believe that," she said. "Yes," Elias replied, because we learned the cost of not doing so. The chamber became silent again. Finally, Celira nodded. This test was designed to trap you, she said. Instead, you used it to speak. She turned toward the door. You will remain here a little longer, she added. Elias did not react. But not as a subject, she continued. As a guest. The door opened. Before leaving, Celira paused and looked back. You have changed my understanding of humanity, she said, and that is not a small thing. Elias smiled slightly. You gave me the time to do so. She left. The door closed, but this time Elias heard no lock. He sat down on the platform and let out a slow breath. The chamber no longer felt like a cage. It felt like a bridge. Outside, in the halls of the Empire, decisions were already forming. And when the door would open again, the galaxy would not be the same. The chamber remained quiet for a long time. Elias Ward sat calmly on the central platform, his hands resting loosely at his sides. He did not rush his thoughts. He had learned that important moments often arrived after silence, not during noise. The lights slowly shifted again, brighter this time, steady and clear. The air felt normal now, no longer controlled to test him. The chamber was no longer watching him as a subject. It was waiting. A soft tone sounded, and the door opened fully. Princess Celira returned, but she was not alone. Behind her stood members of the Velari High Council. They were older, taller, and carried an authority that felt heavy even without words. Their clothing showed rank through faint light patterns, each one different. Elias stood and faced them respectfully. You may speak freely, Celira said. Nothing here is hidden. Elias nodded. Then I will be honest. One of the council members stepped forward. His voice was deep and measured. Human Elias Ward, he said, you were placed in this chamber to determine whether your kind is a danger to galactic balance. I understand, Elias replied. You were isolated, the counselor continued, tested, observed. Yes, Elias said, and given time. The counselor tilted his head slightly. Most see isolation as punishment. Humans see it as a chance to think, Elias replied. A low murmur moved through the council. Princess Celira raised her hand gently and silence returned. You have heard our concerns, she said to Elias. Now hear our decision. Elias waited. The Velari Empire does not fear your strength, Celira said. We fear your speed of change. But after this night we understand something important. She took a step forward. Humans do not grow to dominate, she said. You grow to survive, and in doing so you help others survive as well. Elias felt a quiet relief, but he did not show it. The counselor spoke again. We will not restrict humanity's expansion. Elias looked up, surprised. Instead, the counselor continued, we will recognize humanity as an equal power, not under our control, not above it. A pause followed. But equality comes with responsibility, Celira said. Elias nodded. We know. She looked directly at him. This alliance will change the galaxy, she said. Many will not like it. Humans are used to that, Elias replied calmly. A small ripple of amusement moved through the council. Celira turned toward the door. Come, she said. The locked door has served its purpose. The group walked together through the halls of the station. The doors opened freely now. No guards followed closely. No hidden pressure filled the air. They entered a wide chamber with a high ceiling that showed the stars beyond. Representatives of many species waited there, watching silently. Whispers moved through the room as Elias stepped forward beside Princess Celira. This human remained calm where others broke, one voice whispered. He was not trapped, another replied. He adapted. Celira raised her voice so all could hear. Let it be known, she said, that humanity has passed the Velari trial not by force but by understanding. She gestured toward Elias. This night will be remembered not as confinement, she continued, but as first trust. The room stayed silent for a moment. Then slowly one representative bowed their head, then another, and another. Elias felt the weight of history settle quietly around him. Later, as the gathering ended, Salira walked beside Elias toward the observation window. "You could have tried to escape," she said. "Yes," Elias replied, "but that would have closed doors instead of opening them." She looked at him with something new in her eyes, not curiosity, respect. "Humans are dangerous," she said softly. Elias smiled. "Only to walls that refuse to move." Salira allowed herself a small smile in return. Across the galaxy, messages began to spread. The story of the locked chamber traveled faster than ships. It became a symbol, retold in different ways. Some said the Empire tried to break a human. Others said the human broke the test. But the truth was simpler. The door had been locked, and the human had stayed. Not because he was forced to, but because he chose to. On Earth, when Elias returned, he did not speak of fear or pressure. He spoke of patience, of listening, of what happens when you sit quietly and let others reveal themselves. The Velari Empire and humanity began working together. New routes opened. Shared knowledge flowed. Problems once thought unsolvable slowly found answers, not because one side won, but because neither side tried to. And somewhere in the records of the Velari, the chamber was renamed. Not a prison, not a test, but a meeting place. A reminder that when you lock a human in a room, you do not limit them. You give them space to become something greater. The galaxy would never forget that night. Because the strongest door is not the one that holds someone inside. It is the one that opens after understanding.